When Erik Ten Hag moved to Old Trafford, there was a lot of hope for Man United fans. The start of a new era, new tactics. But a year and a half in, and it's not looking good for them. And even though it's tempting to blame the Glazers again, I actually blame Erik Ten Hag for this, even though I don't usually like blaming successful managers. So, why? Well, Erik Ten Hag wants to be a high-pressing team, the best transitional team in the Premier League, meaning they can win the ball up high and score, like Liverpool used to do. But the problem with this is that it requires exactly the right players. Each of the 11 players on the pitch have to be suited to the system. So, Erik Ten Hag, with the Glazers' money, bought a lot of players. To name a few, Anthony, Højlund, Casemiro, Mason Mount, Lisandro Martinez and Andre Onana. That's just his 6 most expensive signings, and they cost a combined over 410 million euros. That's more money than it cost Pep Guardiola to buy Ruben Diaz, Rodri, Riyad Mahrez, Haaland, Doku, Stones, Bernardo Silva and Gundogan, combined. It's common knowledge that the Glazers are to blame for this, as usual, but in this video I'm going to look at Ten Hag, because I think he has a crucial part to play. First of all, he wants to be the best transitional team in the world, so he signed the players needed to do the job. And he's still far from the best transitional team in the world. So, what does the best transitional team in the world look like? Well, last season, Manchester United and Newcastle United had an interesting race for third place. Man United won in the end due to their quality. But a Newcastle team that was fighting relegation a couple years ago still managed to get fourth, and that was due to their transitional play, or out-of-possession play. First of all, they pressed high up the pitch. When their opponent got further up, they would sit into a mid-block, or a low block. But my favourite part of Newcastle was their high press. First of all, their midfielders would man-mark the opposition's midfielders. Then the striker would start pressuring the goalkeeper, forcing a pass to a centre-back. This is where the wingers came in. They would either be really narrow, forcing a pass to the fullback, or really wide, covering off the fullback and forcing a pass into midfield, depending on the quality of midfielders or fullbacks of the opposition. So the centre-back would be forced into a pass to the fullback, and then their high-energy wingers would sprint to that fullback and close them down. Or the centre-back would be forced to play a pass into midfield, and Newcastle's aggressive midfielders, Willock and Joelinton, would win the ball back. Here's an example against the best team in the world of breaking through pressure. You have the striker pressuring Newcastle's centre-backs, while the midfielders, Willock and Joelinton, are man-marking the opposition midfielders, and the wingers are man-marking the fullbacks. The centre-back can either go long to Botman and Burn or pass it into the midfield, so he chooses the latter, and Newcastle win it back and create a good chance. So Newcastle are compact, they move as a group, and they've got big defenders to clear long balls, as well as a striker to pressure the centre-back into a rush decision. And I know Newcastle aren't doing that well this season, but that's for various reasons which we can look at in another video anyway. Man United's first problem is compactness. United often push their forward line up in the press while leaving their defensive line back, creating huge gaps between the lines. Casemiro doesn't have the legs to cover all of the space, but to be fair, who does? Here Matt Turner notices this gap between Man United's lines. He plays the ball, and here we can see the huge gap left with Gibbs White between the lines. And Man United have another big compactness problem, and that's that they don't put pressure on the ball. Danilo has the ball here with no pressure. Because he has no pressure, he's allowed to dribble into a dangerous situation. He plays it to Origi, who's in loads of space, and creates a dangerous chance. Here Man United look to be covering off Brighton's options, except they're not, because the Brighton player gets the ball in between the lines, should be pressured, but he's not, and Brighton progress to create a dangerous chance. This is what Man United should be doing. Aston Villa are so compact here that there aren't any options in any dangerous areas, and City have to go over the top. And if City do pass it to someone, then Villa immediately close them down and they have to pass it back. Their second problem is pressing as a team. This one's simple. To have a good press, you need everyone having a job and knowing what they're doing, just like in the Newcastle example. Here, Rashford's leading a press, but no one else is joining in, so it's pointless, someone else is free. United's third problem is their backline. Now to summarise Man United's pressing, they get really high up the pitch, leaving the 4 centre-backs deep, and Casemiro or young Mainu to do all the work. So when the opposition gets past this press, they've got the 4 defenders and the midfielder, while everyone else is up the pitch, leaving a massive gap between the defence and the attack. So why does Ten Hag do this? And why does it not happen with Klopp and Arteta? Well, to press high up and limit space in between the lines, teams play with a high defensive line. But this requires quick defenders that can get back and are able to play in a high defensive line, which Man United don't have. Just look at teams that play a high line and look at their defenders. Spurs have the quickest player in the league, Van de Ven. Aston Villa have Konsa. If Ten Hag played this high line, then players like Maguire would be exposed for balls over the top. And it's important to say that even though I talked about how much money Ten Hag spent at the beginning of the video, he hasn't spent a lot of money on defenders. So that's why Man United are struggling this season, and what they need to do to improve. Someone that has improved them is Kobbie Mainoo, so if you want to know more about him, then watch this video. And well done to Bayer Leverkusen for winning the Bundesliga. If you enjoyed the video, then like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.